Warning, warning! 2 idiots are reading the SCP files over the intercom. I'm pretty sure I did this voice before.
Hello and welcome back to Discovering SCP. It's me, Tanhony, and the other guy, Darnell, is still here. Incredibly. How's it feel?
I know. I've survived again. And this time, I've brought a friend to back me up.
Oh shit. Who? Is it DJ Cactus again?
No. Even better than DJ Cactus. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is PeppersGhost. I've written SCP-4000, SCP-2030, and a few other stupid things.
Oh shit, that's right. You wrote 4000. Dude, I loved 4000. That was so cool. I kept gushing over that when we were reading it.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I really like the way you set things up, because, like, what you did is you made it so the whole gimmick was you couldn't give it a name, so you had to say something different every time, but you kind of leaked in a little bit of info each time you referred to a concept that gave a bit more of the picture, and I just thought that was so neat and clever. I really dug that.
Thank you. There was a lot of thought that went into that one. It was written off and on for about 4 years, so
damn!
I feel like in a way I kind of cheated against the people who wrote over the course of a month.
Holy shit! 4 years.
I think after 4 years,
yeah, I wasn't working on it every day for 4 years, but it was a fun experiment.
4 years. It's like what, almost a sixth of your life, Tanhony? Over sixth, seventh.
Okay, so what this is, because I don't know if we ever actually explained what this joke is that we keep doing. Because when I posted SCP-5000 and I won, and actually no, this was before I won, I wanted people to know, I want people to know I really enjoyed the SCP Wiki, so I posted a little earnest little post saying, oh, this is my SCP, I've been here for 9 years, almost a third of my life, and no one's ever shut the fuck up about it since.
Well, what made it really funny, Peppers, is not long after some esports guy retired and he used the exact same line. It was like, I've been doing this for some years, over a third of my life. And it was so fucking funny that I just kept memeing it from that point on. I was like,
my god.
It was a moment of vulnerability and they destroyed it.
Weakness on the internet? Foolish. Alright.
I don't want to think about what percentage of my life I've spent on the SCP Wiki at this point.
It's sunk cost fallacy. Well. We're here for life at this point.
Sucks for you nerds, but I'm too much of a jock to read SCPs.
It's episode 65, Darnell.
I've been here about as long as I've had this laptop, and that's a long time.
Almost a third of your life.
Speaking of lengths, by the way, at time of recording, it is your birthday, so everybody, you have to wish PeppersGhost happy birthday in the comments. Or
everyone in the comments apologise for missing PeppersGhost's birthday, because this will be posted next week.
Yeah. You will be expected to send him a gift worth a minimum of $50.
And if you don't, you can't comment anymore.
Venmo is fine.
Alright, but, all that aside, Tanhony, how many SCPs do you have for us today?
I'm glad you asked Darnell, because you do it every week. 1, 2 SCPs, maybe 3, depending on how long the first 2 take us. So it's like a choose-your-own-adventure episode.
Choose your own adventure. Alright, cool. And as I'm sure you probably guessed, Peppers, in case I forgot to bring it up, whenever we have a guest, all the SCPs we read are going to be that guest. So these are all yours.
Cool. I'm really excited to see which ones you chose.
Don't worry.
Tanhony, why don't you hit us with that first link?
The first one we have is SCP-2200. It's called Solberg, and it is by PeppersGhost.
Okay.
Solberg? Maybe laughing.
I'm surprised you haven't heard of this one already.
Well, the whole gimmick actually is I don't really know anything about SCP. Or I guess I do now. When we started over a year
episode 65, we can't really say that anymore. But...
Yeah, but the gimmick of the whole series is like, I didn't know anything other than there's a peanut, there's a lizard, and I'd read like maybe a handful of Tans because he's my friend. So he's been introducing me to these ones, and I'm giving like a fresh take from someone who doesn't really participate in the wiki, wasn't in the offsite community, anything, just like fresh eyes. Although this is like episode 65, so through this podcast, I guess I now have SCP experience, but I don't really think my opinions on a lot of things line up with the communities, as shown by the comments section, more often than not.
Interesting, but I like that you bring that perspective. I hesitate to say outsider because, welcome. I don't want to be like, oh, you're an outsider, but like seriously, it is cool to get some thoughts from people who aren't part of an echo chamber, which the fandom can be at times.
Oh, shucks, man. You're making me blush. I like this guy. You know, friendship ended with Cactus. Now PeppersGhost is my favorite guest already. What are we, not even
Wait, you were friends with Cactus?
Yeah, he's been on, like, once or twice, but...
You ended your friendship with Cactus? His only friendship?
Oh, no! Poor Cactus!
We can't make these jokes. Cactus might be watching.
What's he gonna do? Come into the podcast and try to shoot you again? Anyway, you said this is called Solberg Tan. Get to reading.
Yeah, but I don't know whether we should do this before or after this, but there's a little bit of a backstory to this article.
There is.
Should I know it, or will it be more fun if I don't know it going in?
Well, I can give you the spoiler-free version if you like.
Very spoiler-free, because as spoiler-free as possible.
Okay, so this was written in response to something that happened in the community, and it was something that I didn't necessarily expect to get a lot of attention, and it was really one of my under-the-radar SCPs for a long time. Then somebody in the offsite fandom made a really, really, really incredible piece of animation based on it, and it blew up, and I ended up rewriting a good chunk of the article because I was like, oh shit, people are going to read this now.
Alright, interesting. Sounds like some drama going on. I have noticed now, this isn't just SCP exclusive, I feel like this goes with any internet community, but I have noticed there's a lot of drama at any given time. So that's what I'm going to assume you're referring to, is like some sort of old drama?
Not really drama, more of an in-joke, really.
Oh, okay. That's actually kind of nice for a change of pace, then. All right. Well, then, Tanhony, with that said, are you ready to get started?
With that padding, let's get into it. Item number, SCP-2200. Object class, Keter. Special containment procedures. I can't think of weird ways to say Keter, so I just sort of dragged it on a little bit there. The current instance of SCP-2200-2 is to be kept in a standard humanoid containment chamber at Biosite 59. To prevent the relocation of -1, a minimum of 5 armed security personnel must escort -2 to Termination Chamber T-28 once a month to assist in routine D-Class cycling. In the event -1 relocates, Mobile Task Force Epsilon 30 Blade Fielders is to be deployed to seek out and contain the new 2200-2 instance.
I love Blade Fielders. That sounds like a squad in a fantasy anime.
It sounds like a LARP.
Just like a bunch of knights lined up with their magical swords.
I didn't even remember writing that part.
The area of land encompassing -3 has been designated Site 502. With Foundation faculty members living as residents in the town proper. As -3 is populated by anomalous individuals, faculty may acknowledge the existence of anomalous activity in general, but are not to divulge details on any SCP object besides 2200. Each staff member living on site is to submit a weekly report detailing their experience and interactions. For all intents and purposes, -3 is to remain an autonomous community with minimal political and social interference by the Foundation. Additional intervention may be ordered by the presiding on-site staff lead at their discretion. As a number of inert instances are already in storage for testing and archival purposes, additional inert -4 are to be collected and melted down for use in funding Foundation activities. So we've got a lot of moving parts here.
Wait a minute, Tanhony.
Hello?
I thought this SCP sounded familiar, and I was about to compare it to something, and the thing I was going to compare it to is this SCP. I think we've read this.
We've not read this.
Yeah, it's the one where it's like a bunch of metal people. They bond. They bond to a sword. The sword is like King Arthur.
Huh?
Dan, we've already read this one.
King Arthur.
You have?
Yeah.
King
He keeps
Arthur.
doing it.
I don't.
Yeah, he has
King
like
Arthur's
visions.
not in this.
He has like visions from like Arthurian legends and shit. It's like the sword's Excalibur.
No, something else.
That is something else?
Wait, there's 2 of them?
No, I think even if we have read one, I think you've mixed it up with the one that's actually Excalibur in your head into a new SCP.
That's fair, but I'm pretty sure we've read this, because it's like, the people are all like metal people and they can't leave the city, and if they do, they freeze, right?
Okay. Fuck. Don't worry, I
Sorry,
came prepared.
this is really awkward. It's never happened with a guest before, but basically, to give you a secondary idea of the podcast, Peppers, the secondary goal of the podcast, aside from introducing me to SCP, was to Tanhony give me a catering reading leading up to so he could finally read 5,000 for the audience and I would get all the things. But I'm pretty sure we're close to having done that, so he keeps putting in things we've already read like over a year ago.
Oh yeah, I think this one is featured in 5,000, so it probably would have been part of the run-up. Like, it's not a King Arthur sword.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's
I got it mixed
yeah.
up with a second SCP, I think, in my memory. But yeah, I'm almost
But
positive.
I came prepared for this, so I have an alternative article.
I'm so sorry. This
Okay,
has
but
never
let me-
happened like with a guest before Pepper's Ghost. This is a terrible first impression.
It's fine. Can I just
Yeah.
ramble on this for a moment?
Go
since
for it.
where you don't have to.
I was going to say,
by
yeah,
all
we get the
means, go for
spoilery rundown on the backstory now.
So there was a cold post a long time ago, even before I came to the wiki, that had gained infamy, called Solberg, and it was your stereotypical anime sword fighter. He
Oh, hell yes.
he glowed blue whenever he would like kill people, and it was super edgy, super fun. This was back when people were more inclined to crap on poor articles. I don't know why they latched onto this one specifically, but it was fairly infamous. So this was both an in-joke, kind of poking fun at it, but also kind of trying to redeem the idea, because virtually all of the original details are still present in here, even, like, turning blue to an extent.
Now I remember. This is the one where the sword cuts someone and then they become a part of the city.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the...
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the components are present, but like with the added detail, I wanted to like make it nuanced beyond just guy what fights good.
You know what? I respect that. And I remember liking this one. I don't remember the exact ring, but you can tell because I went to click upvote, but it said I already upvoted it. So
There's the
I
final
do that
proof.
all the time.
yeah. Tanhony, you gotta stop, man. I think you just have to. I think we gotta do 5,000 next week at this point.
I keep thinking I haven't prepared for it, but apparently I did prepare for it a year ago.
Yeah, it's been 65 weeks, my friend. Give or
Well, you
take.
know, you gotta forgive me for forgetting. I don't remember what I was doing this time last week, so...
Yeah, me neither. It's all good. That's
So
funny,
I
man.
gotta know just how much of your backlog I got to listen through. Do you talk about Tanhony's SCPs very much?
Occasionally we do. Usually in the form of he tries to trick me by saying it's a different author, and then at the end he's like, "Surprise, it's Tanhony."
Yeah, only after he gives me
But
the
the thing
upvote.
is, my very, very limited of SCPs, like I told you before we started, was I knew the ideas behind Peanut and Lizard, and I had read some of Tan's already, because he was my friend, and when we met, and like, I didn't realize he was like a big part of the wiki or whatever, like he would just be like, "Guys, I posted this," and I'm like, "Alright, I'll read it." So I already knew some of them, so he stayed away from it unless they were relevant to 5,000, but occasionally he'll like lump one in there. And I'll make fun of
Gotcha,
it.
because I am really curious what goes on in this guy's mind. It's really, really humbling to hear him, apparently hyping me up because he's one of my favorite authors.
Aw.
So, it's just an honor to be here, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
an honor to have you. I've heard so much about you. I've enjoyed the articles of yours that we've read. Tanhony has Tanhony does this thing where like he
Oh,
has
wow.
this chuny persona, but like behind closed doors he's a very sweet boy.
That's not surprising.
Let's get to the SCP. I've got. This is my backup one in case this happens.
All right,
This
Toss
is
us that link.
SCP
What-
1715.
I'm gonna laugh if we've also read this one.
We've not read this one.
Okay,
I'm sure we
I
haven't read
recognize
this
that
one.
picture.
It's
Yeah, I
SCP
recognize the
1715 called Online Friend by
Well, the picture changed recently.
Peppers. Oh god, so that's not even proof. I'm pretty sure we haven't read it already. Item number SCP
Yeah.
1715. Object class USELID. Special containment procedures. Foundation operated web analysis bot Gamma 84 anti-Ben. I'm pretty sure is it anti-Ben or actually anti-Ben?
You can say it however you
I-
It's
want.
the
I
same
like
meaning,
anti-Ben.
I believe. Anti-Ben?
Is to be kept in constant operation and checked for defects twice a week by a level 2 staff member. When functional, the bot will search a wide range of online message boards for posts created by individuals previously declared deceased. And if the manifestation of the SCP on a website is confirmed, the bot will initiate a distributed denial of service attack against the site until Foundation personnel are able to either permanently remove the site from operation or convince the site's administrators that the SCP is a person of malicious intent. A list of convincing cover stories for the latter procedure can be found in document 1715-63.
I can't believe their containment procedures are just like hiring script kiddies. It's so funny. Alright.
What do you think
Hit
it
me
might
with
be?
it.
Don't know.
What?
What do you think this entity may be? This SCP?
Oh, well, what it sounds like is it's a certain kind. Now, maybe my perspective's plagued from the shitpost one last week, but I think it might be some form of anomalous shitpost, or maybe like a copy pasta even that like anomalously spreads or something, but we don't have enough information yet, and I can see there's a quite lengthy description, so I'm not going to lock that in. But
No
that's my
worries.
tentative guess.
He used to be so confident.
And I want to say real quick that this one, comparatively speaking, is an old SCP, and I don't think that named web crawlers were a thing at this point, which is why I maybe put more detail into that part of it than I would have nowadays.
I was going to say, yeah.
But I've noticed in the years since that people have kind of picked up on that as like a way to contain online things.
Yeah, I've started like doing my special snowflake version of learning computers, which are just web crawlers but with a different name, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'll steal that, and then the circle will be complete.
Exactly.
If you really want to step on Tanhony's shoes, you should steal nutritional charts for your.
I don't do that anymore. I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, okay.
Because I don't write.
All right, but yeah,
anymore.
description Tanhony.
Description: SCP-1715 is an anomalous entity that sporadically joins and integrates itself into small online communities, such as message boards and wiki databases. The SCP uses a different name on each website it joins. However, every recorded username chosen by the entity has either included the word...
Oh, sorry. Other tradition, when we have a guest, it doesn't have to be legitimate, especially if you didn't think of it, but you have to tell us what the redacteds are, even if they don't fit the spaces. You have to give us names or words for them.
Oh, I was wondering if you were going to ask about that.
You don't have to give us a legit answer.
Okay.
Usually Tanhony
peanut
makes
butter.
up a word. Peanut butter?
peanut butter, or
Is that
being
what-
thematically linked to
peanut
peanut
butter?
butter. Is that it?
Peppers?
It's not
Oh,
actually it. No.
Perfect.
You heard it here first,
That's
folks. That's
fine.
actually it. All efforts are...
So peanut butter.
We can talk about that. We can talk about that later because I don't want to spoil too much.
Oh.
Absolutely, of course. So peanut butter.
All efforts to trace the SCP's source have failed. It's currently unknown whether the SCP is a corporeal entity accessing the internet from a physical location, or an incorporeal phenomenon that exists only on the internet itself. The SCP describes itself differently from manifestation to manifestation, but always claims to be between 15 and 30 years of age. The SCP typically targets small but growing web communities that are centered around video games, television programs, musical groups, and similar interests. The SCP primarily targets English-speaking communities, though manifestations on non-English websites have been documented. Oh, there's a little footnote here. In June of 2014, SCP manifestations were confirmed on several Russian and Chinese websites, with the SCP observed to be communicating fluently in each site's respective language. Prior to this discovery, it was believed that the SCP exclusively targeted English-speaking communities. The SCP is proven capable of manifesting on as many as 9 websites at once. It's currently unknown if this is the extent of its limitations or merely the highest number of cases observed by the Foundation. So this is one
What's
of those
interesting to me is that it's contained by DDoSing the site it's posting on. So does that mean it needs to have a connection? The site needs to have a connection from the internet to its domain for it to stay there, and that like boots it off. Like, so is it connected to the internet? I'm wondering.
Who can say? Maybe we'll
Because
find out.
usually, like, if it's like a post, it would be connected to the post from the examples we've seen before of semi-similar ideas. I'm kind of curious about this now.
Are you thinking out loud, or am I supposed to answer that?
Up to you. Sorry. I
It's okay.
generally that's my ideas. I like to speculate or crack jokes or whatever. If you would like to tell me, you can, but you can also keep your lips zipped if you'd like.
Well, I also like hearing people's like thought processes as they go through the article, so I don't want to like influence it too much. Basically, the way that I've written an article is the way that I've intended it to be experienced, so I don't want to mess with that too much.
100% fair.
For the most part, the SCP uses proper grammar, spelling, punctuation, Oh, PeppersGhost, what's this? Proper grammar, spelling, punctuation, and spelling. With only occasion...
Did you not notice that
No,
before?
is that intentional?
Adeline.
Huh?
With only occasional errors.
There's a reason this page is locked, my friend.
Ah. What? Wait, what? It displays a high level of knowledge
Oh, you know
surrounding-
what? I think maybe he's implying that this whole article might be a manifestation of whatever this is.
Wait, what
Hence
the
why it's
fuck?
locked, so people can't change it.
With only occasional errors and displays a high level of knowledge surrounding the topic
See-
of the web.
See how it says occasional errors right after? See, it's clever.
Oh, fuck.
See, I'm on the ball,
Look
Peppers.
at the website
I
is
got you.
participating in. Other members of the online communities frequented by the SCP generally considered to be affable, polite, enthusiastic, and helpful. Because of its attractive personality and active level... Wait, is this you, PeppersGhost? Active level of participation, as the SCP will often become a highly respected user on websites within a relatively short amount
Twitch
of time.
mod.
How modest of you. On a number of occasions, the SCP has been promoted to positions of authority by site administrators. How's that going for you?
I was joking.
The SCP begins to show anomalous properties once it's established itself as a presence on an online community, usually within 8 weeks of its initial join date. At that time, the SCP will send a number of private messages to other site members, beginning with other popular users, up to 650 of them. These messages generally begin with a declaration of friendship. We're getting a little bit bold on this podcast, followed by fabricated details regarding the SCP's personal life, and ends with a request for the recipient's personal information. Just a long number on the credit card and the 4 digits on the back.
Nice.
Wait,
so it's like, is it just an anomalous phishing email?
No, that was my addition.
Or I guess it takes the place of a user. Oh. Damn it.
If the user ignores the message or responds without providing any factual personal details, no anomalous effects will take place. If the user provides the SCP with factual personal information, the user and their account will become instances of -1 and -2, respectively. Within 2 weeks of responding to the SCP's messages, instances of -1 will be injured in a violent incident. Such occurrences have included accidents, homicides, and suicides. Although these incidents usually result in immediate death, there have been cases of -1 instances being rendered comatose, brain dead, or similarly incapacitated. Investigations performed by local law enforcement units and Foundation agents have determined all deaths to be apparently non-anomalous in nature and explainable by forensic evidence. Excuse me. In one case, Foundation investigators found evidence that an individual had started planning his murder several years before the -1 victim had ever joined the message board. It's currently unknown if SCP-1715 is somehow influencing these events, or if it actively seeks out individuals it knows will die. Which is it, Pepper?
This kind of reminds me of, there's sort of a concept in recent horror of, like, someone being dead and then they, like, haunt someone through social media or the internet. Although this is kind of the reverse, because the SCP, the SCP targets them first, and then after they die, manifests. Or, like, they become the SCP, which is kind of interesting, like it's joining a collective of doomed individuals.
Mm. Have you seen Unfriended, by the way?
It kind of, and based on the... I know the general gist of Unfriended. I haven't watched it in its entirety.
Yeah, it's really bad.
From what it seems like, based on the way the question's framed, you could theoretically imply, because it not only is it seeking out individuals it knows will die, but these individuals had to have given it personal information that it could be some form of fate, which is interesting to think about in the SCP universe. But again, because it's not like concretely tells you it's this or this, you can't quite jump to that, but I like thinking about that.
Interesting perspective. After an instance of -1 is deceased or otherwise incapacitated, the corresponding instance of -2, so the account, remain active in its respective online communities, posting content that is consistent with -1's personality and writing style. Instances of -2 possess the same memories as their counterparts up until the time of their death, but deny that...
One thing that is interesting to me is they say... Okay, so is it only the original, not -1, that is like the congenial personality, and then -1's always just retained the other personality?
-1's just retained well, -2 is the account. -1 is the user of the account who gets...
Sorry, -2 is what I mean, yeah. Because they mentioned the original SCP is like kind and congenial, but they say -2 keeps the personality, so I'm assuming that's why they're -2, and there is a main SCP. They're not all just -2s.
Yes, there's the one who's contacting them, and then the people that are contacted become -1 and -2.
Gotcha. So it's sort of like JoJo vampires and then zombies.
Exactly.
On the internet, yes.
Yes.
Instances of -2 possess the same memories as their counterparts up until the time of their death, but deny that they are in fact dead, often accusing the inquiring party of being a troll. We've got those in the comments. An internet user who intentionally tries to provoke a negative emotional response from another user.
I just liked the idea of the Foundation having to footnote explain internet lingo.
Yeah, it's so good.
-2
do you think the Foundation does that thing that like corporations do nowadays, where they hire like a guy to be like hip with the kids for their social media presence?
Probably so, and they also probably have to have even more people to like sit down and explain to boomers like what the kids are doing these days.
I love it.
Dash 2
Because I always wonder about that, right? Have you ever heard a term of like glowies, like FBI agents, because they like glow in the dark and are clearly FBI agents? Because they always talk about like agents investigating the internet and stuff, right? So I always imagine they're like, "Hello, fellow kids, what is this anomalous meme going around?"
So Dash...
There may or may not be a bit of that coming soon.
Oh, perfect.
Dash 2 discuss the same topics as their living counterparts, with the exception that it will occasionally post messages that could be interpreted as references to their deceased state, see addendum. Instances of Dash 2 remain active and prolific members until such time that the SCP announces its departure from the website. Once this takes place, all instances of Dash 2 will reply to the announcement with various well wishes and goodbyes before immediately ceasing all anomalous activity. Beyond their apparently symbiotic connection to the SCP, there does not appear to be a limit to the amount of time Dash 2 can remain active. One group remained active for 11 years, analysing and discussing episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer on a daily basis, until the site was eventually shut down.
Wasn't that actually a site that people... Because isn't that a site a lot of people link back to when they like try to tell creepy internet stories? Wasn't there like actually a really dedicated Buffy fan board that... I wondered if that was a reference to that. So basically...
It is, and that... But the Buffy fan board, if I remember correctly, was just one guy.
Yeah, it was just one guy posting updates. So what happened, Tan, is back in the day, you remember, internets used to be like all forums. It wasn't really like social media or whatever. There wasn't Discord.
Envision free, it wasn't.
So there was a Buffy forum, and like even for like a whole 11 years after like, you know, MySpace was introduced, all these other platforms, there was one person that kept posting. And I think they found out it was just one really dedicated fan, like, giving updates. But, like, before someone properly investigated, it looked really creepy and ominous. Because, like, just 11 years straight, it looked like they were talking to themselves. Long after Buffy the Vampire Slayer stopped airing.
That was a big inspiration for this article, so that bit over here is my shout-out.
So if I'm understanding right, Dash 2's, like, other than, like, continuing their presence, interact with the original SCP. That's kind of, like, their purpose.
Not necessarily even interacting with the original SCP, they just keep posting. Think of it as the Dash 2s being their ghost, their internet ghost.
Okay, so the Dash 2s don't actually affect other people, they're just the result of the original SCP's actions.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
The Dash 1 is the person themselves, and then they die, and then the Dash 2 is their account, which keeps going as if they never died.
But the Dash 2 doesn't, like, anomalously affect any other internet users.
No.
Cool. Alright, Tan, keep going.
So yeah, addendum. The following examples of posts by SCP-1715-2 that could be interpreted as referencing the deceased states. So this is SCP-2-45. User, Tungsten. Real name, Daniel whom?
Howard.
Daniel Howard,
Nice.
age 16, brother of Todd. Cause of death, fall from a balcony. Context. Posted a discussion thread about allergies, responding to a user who complained of severe sinus headaches. Oh, my head starts killing me as soon as fall is over. I can sympathise with that.
You pronounced that face perfectly.
Why don't you read the next one down now? Because my voice is tired.
Sure. User, Pavlov's Lemur. Real name, Tyler.
Pumpkin Sprats.
Tyler Pumpkin Sprats, age 22. Cause of death, blood loss. Context, users were speculating the outcome of the series finale of the television drama Lost. After a user criticized one of Tyler's theories, a third user then came to Tyler's defense. No, it's cool. I just need to think outside the box. Except I can't really do anything outside the box. I'm kind of stuck, actually. Except I'm not. Sorry, I started rambling again. Anyway, don't worry, dude. It was a bad idea. I'm not cut up about it or anything, except... Never mind. Forget it. I'll be cool with anything as long as Jack makes it out okay sometime. And then our next one here, -2-109, is user XXX Lion Tears XXX, real name Rebecca, and I'm almost positive that's Rebecca Black.
I don't know.
Yeah, you got it. You guessed it.
That's
Rebecca
it.
Black, age 14. Cause of death, decapitation. Posted in a discussion thread where users were encouraged to post pictures of what their faces look like. I don't think that's really possible for me. Lol. Alright, and then we have a communication log. Under the username Carmichael, Agent Malager, is it Malager or Malager?
Malager works.
Agent Malager engaged 1715 in conversation on July 29th, 2012, via an internet relay chat application, IRC. 1715 had recently become a moderator on Redacted.net, an online discussion board for fans of the Final Fantasy video game series, and was serving as an operator for the site's official chat room at the time Agent Malaga made contact. Before we read this, is this related to the Final Fantasy house? Because I've noticed you have a couple references in here.
It is not. I don't know anything about Final Fantasy, so it's funny that there are references.
There was like an online group that like formed a house together. They like met on a Final Fantasy messaging board, and they would like cosplay and pretend to be the characters in real life, and it was like apparently a really bizarre environment, and it's one of those things that circulates as like, ooh, creepy internet stories. So
You know, I can't say I was aware of that one, but I will also say that I chose Final Fantasy because it seemed like the kind of fandom where weird shit would happen, so I
Completely
guess
fair.
Points for me.
Do you want to read this script with me, Peppers?
Okay.
Do you want to be Stefan or Carmichael?
Oh, I'll be 1715, definitely.
That's Stefan Foster, right?
That's 7, yep.
All right.
Yep.
Hello.
Hey there, need something?
Age, sex, location.
18, male, Michigan.
What's your real name?
Brian Parker. Why do you ask?
Just curious.
Okay, then.
Because when we chatted back on the Maple Story board, you called yourself Cameron Thomas.
Ah, it's you guys again. You know cyberstalking is illegal, right?
Why are you killing people?
Whoa there, I haven't touched anybody. I'm just a lonely guy who likes to talk about Final Fantasy and occasionally Maple Story. Is that so wrong?
Smile. What are you doing to them?
You mean my friends? I didn't hurt them or anything. Real life just kept getting in the way for them.
They were always saying they wish they could spend more time online.
No, that's it.
Oh, that's me, yeah. They were always saying they wish they could spend more time online.
Oh, whoops. Sorry, I got confused. My bad.
No, it's me. My bad.
Who are you really?
Dude, stop. It's against site rules to harass people for their personal information.
Ironic
Of
coming
course,
from
I'm
this
not
guy.
going to tell you who I really am. After all, you could be anyone.
That feels especially ironic coming from this guy, since isn't that how he gets people, by getting them to reveal their
Exactly. Yeah.
classic Stefan move? Following Agent Malaga's conversation, 1715 created a forum post announcing its departure from the website. The thread received 39 responses, no fewer than 26 of which are believed to have been written by deceased individuals. So this one has sort of a somber tone towards the end, but all in all, it's just like really neat. It has a little bit of humor in it, a couple references, but rather than getting like too depressing in tone, it's got more of like a mystery vibe to it that I really dig. Upvote from me, I'm gonna have to give this one a 11 out of 10, I think.
How many tonky faces is that?
Thank you. Somebody in the comments described it as like an internet campfire story, and even though that's not the exact like angle that I was writing it from intentionally, when I came to the end I was like, yes, that's exactly what I was going for.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got too. Internet camp story is like a good way to put it. I like it. This is awesome.
Nice.
All right.
Thank you.
What do you got next? Wait, Tam, why did you put a timestamp?
I had to mute for a little bit, but you didn't notice, so that's just for the editing suite.
Well, if you... Oh, right, because it'll still show up on your Audacity, I was going to say. Okay, sorry. Next SCP, Tan?
The next SCP, I'm glad you asked, is SCP-4505 by PeppersGhost. Surprise.
505.
Oh, good.
This is History of the Anomalous Renaissance, so this is like, I really like this one, so I brought this one in.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you like this one. I'm really proud of it. I kept trying to get people to collaborate with me on this one for years. I tried Jorik, I tried Cactus, I even tried Gears. For some reason, this is an idea that, like, made me really excited, but other people were just kind of, like, I guess that just thought it was too dry. So eventually I got fed up and just finished it myself.
Dang, I'm kind of hyped now. What's the title for it again, Tan?
It is called History of the Anomalous Renaissance.
Ooh.
And we open with a little image here of SCP-4505-081 in the process of restoration. And its item number, of course, 4505, object class ZAVE. Special containment procedures. That was the worst one yet. The SCP-4505 collection is housed in Reliquary Site 14 for storage and display. A minimum of 3 Foundation archivists are to facilitate appropriate care and study of the collection. Any personnel involved in the research and/or containment of anomalous artwork may be granted gallery access for educational purposes. pending the completion and approval employee access request RS14-EA3. SCP-4505 items featured in the observation gallery are to be rotated on a bi-monthly basis.
Alright, so this one, even though it has a shorter containment procedure, the title and the pictures kind of give me a pretty good image. I'm guessing there was some sort of, like there was a renaissance for artwork, there was a renaissance for anomalous-based artwork, so it's all going to be like artworks with anomalous twists.
We'll see.
As
Description. SCP-4505 is the collective designation for 265 safe-class anomalous artworks created between the 14th and 17th centuries as part of the cultural movement known as the Renaissance.
So you were exactly correct, yes.
Hey.
The original 130 pieces were previously listed as, this is the footnote now, by the way, were listed as individual SCP objects until their eventual consolidation and subdesignation under the parent number of SCP-4505 as part of the SEK class Object Class Initiative in 1914. Additional works have been acquired and added to the collection in subsequent years. So that freed up a whole bunch of numbers.
Damn.
Yeah, and that's something that I don't think anybody had really done before, but I wanted to have, like, some justification for why these aren't individual SCPs, and my answer is there was too damn many of them, and since they can just be put in a building and forgotten about, the Foundation was like, just give it one number.
Well, also, I think it's clever because it implies that, like, they change the numbers around as new information comes out, which also sort of lends credence to the out-of-character thing of how sometimes an older SCP gets deleted and someone else fills the slot or whatever, which is kind of neat.
Indeed. I do like to think it's more fluid in-universe.
Yeah, and it makes sense, too.
So the collection is available as an educational resource for Foundation employees. The following is a truncated list of artifacts consolidated under the SCP-4505 designation. Staff members involved in the containment of any SCP-4505 item must familiarise themselves with the entire collection before beginning work. See Anomalous History of Art, volumes 23 to 34. Note that items are numbered in order of acquisition, not creation.
I imagine giving a tour in the Anomalous Museum.
Why don't we popcorn these between us?
Okay, sure.
Please continue, because I didn't mean to
Peppers
interrupt.
go first.
Okay.
I don't know. You just fight among yourselves for the right.
Do you want to do it, Peppers, or shall I?
I'll start, yeah, sure.
Go for it.
Title, Pietà. Serial number, SCP-4505-35. Artist, Tondino, year 1623. Description. Animate marble sculpture depicting the Madonna weeping over the deceased Christ. Inspired by Michelangelo's sculpture of the same name, Tondino's piece diverges from the original by posing the Madonna knelt over her prone son. The figures are non-sentient and unresponsive to stimuli. The Madonna shakes her son and pantomime sobs but produces no sound. The deceased Christ is not independently animate, and makes no movements other than those instigated by the Madonna's physical interactions. Both figures feature realistic anatomy, visually emulating the elasticity and malleability of soft tissue within the context of the piece's internal action. However, physical contact from external sources will interact with the figures as solid marble.
That's an interesting
Several
detail. So, like, it interacts with itself, but you can't affect it by touching it.
Correct. Several historical records pertaining to the piece describe an incident wherein a child's fingers were severed after playfully inserting them into the Madonna's mouth. These accounts are supported by recent internal imaging of the Madonna's stomach, which has revealed the presence of 11 fingers within 3 parties, as well as a large amount of coinage in various denominations.
The Bite of 87.
Is that the Bite of 87?
Yes, 1687.
But yeah, I really like these, like, it's almost like bite-sized SCPs. I really love the format you went for of this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like I said, this I wrote that obviously while I was taking an art history class, and I was thinking. Almost art is just a thing. Like you would think it would been around for a while.
I would love to see an anomalous cave painting.
Ooh.
And, like, the little stick figures move.
Has nobody done
I
that?
don't think so. No, I don't know of any.
Ooh.
Title, The Judgment of the Unrighteous. Serial number, SCP-4505-89. Artist unknown. Year 1434. And there's a little picture here, too. Description. bronze door with sculpted relief panels depicting various scenes in hell as described in Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy. Anomalous phenomena occur when it is viewed by a person who has recently committed an act deemed sinful by 15th century Catholic doctrine. Subjects who meet the above criteria will experience a cognitohazard-induced hallucination wherein they are surrounded by indistinct red-hooded figures. These figures are often observed holding and consuming the severed heads of cephalophoric saints. Effects subside entirely within 20 to 30 minutes. Could you tell me what cephalophoric means?
A saint who has been decapitated and
Oh.
carries their own head.
Oh.
There's just a word for
I
that.
thought it meant
Based?
And if there's a word for that, I can't not use it.
I have to admit, the first time I read that, my mind jumped to cephalopod. I thought they were like octopus
Yeah, I was
guys.
assuming the same, like a bug saint or something.
It's a weird word.
Alright, Tan, so the next one I
Yeah.
believe is you, if we're going like in a circle.
Yeah, strategically placed so I get the shortest one. Title: Cardinal de Mont. Serial number: SCP-4505-118. Artist unknown. Year 1554. Description: life-size oil portrait on canvas with accompanying section of wall. The painting depicts Innocenzo Ciucci del Monte, adopted nephew and possible lover of Pope Julius III. The painting was removed from the Papal Palace multiple times after the death of Julius III in 1555, but always reappeared in the same place the following day. Attempts to destroy the piece were similarly undone. After several weeks' effort, it was decided the entire section of wall where the painting hung was to be detached from the building and removed from the premises. Nice.
And that's based on an actual historical family, couple. I don't know how to describe it.
If
But
I was going to say that actually happened, they had to move the wall.
The more you know.
well, maybe not that part. I don't know. You can't prove it didn't happen. Title: The Elation of St. Paul. Serial number -122. Artist: Jean Brodel. Year 1495. Description: oil on panel. The painting features an anomalous chiaroscuro effect which causes the lighting of the scene to change over a 24-hour period, with the movement of the sun, moon, and stars progressing in real time. The rest of the scene, which is otherwise static, features Paul the Apostle standing before a crowd in what is presumably the artist's interpretation of a Jewish synagogue. The subtext here is that they were very incorrect. All figures are dressed in Italian formal wear common to the period. Paul is posed as though preaching to the assembly, albeit with a thick stream of honey pouring from his mouth. The heads of doves protrude from where his eyes would normally be found, and his fingers expel a milky substance which pools beneath him. Several bystanders are gathered around the puddle, using their hands to drink. Footnote 4. Several sources suggest that the surreal imagery corresponds to Paul's martyrdom as described in the Golden Legend.
I see.
Next we've got title Lorenzo de' Medici.
My
hope
favourite
I said that
Assassin's
right.
Creed NPC.
Serial number -164. Artist unknown. Year 1502. Description: an oil painting depicting the body of Lorenzo de' Medici in an advanced state of decomposition. It is one of the earliest known attempts at crafting a fully animate and intelligent reproduction of an existing human within a two-dimensional space. Hey, like Cassie! Due to split opinions
Exactly.
regarding the sanctity of the piece, it remained out of view in deep storage at Medician Academy of Occult Arts, which seems to link to something, until...
Yeah, that's an Italian group of interest.
Until 1944. Footnote 5. During the Second World War, numerous artworks, oh, that's a cool name for them, were disguised as traditional pieces and entrusted to the MFAA for protection, which subsequently allowed pieces such as 4505-164 to be discovered and acquired by Foundation resources. See an Anomalous History of Art, Volume 81. Gee, that does kind of feel like art history. There's just too many frickin' books.
Or you could just watch the movie Monument Men and it would have the same, give you the same
Just
background.
imagine Monument Men with, like, magic.
Yes.
Lorenzo allegedly commissioned the painting after he was drawn in by the artist's offers for immortality. The artist, whose identity remains unknown, succeeded in creating a painted likeness of Lorenzo that could hold conversations with viewers and move within the confines of its 126 centimeter by 104 centimeter surface as if it were three-dimensional space. However, the depiction of Lorenzo proved to be more lifelike than intended and perished due to starvation several weeks after the painting was completed. Before its death, it reportedly subsisted on a bowl of fruit the artist had painted in the foreground, as well as an animate bird painted on a windowsill. No!
Oh, Jesus, that's fucking grim. Oh, it's like one of those, like...
Yeah, I like to think that, like, it's like, oh, we figured out how to give portraits life. Fuck, we forgot to make them able to stay alive. Like, they're still working out the kinks and the magic at that point.
I love it. It's kind of cool. A neat detail. I kind of like this because, like, even though there's not necessarily a huge overarching narrative, this is, like, a really nice bit of world building for, like, anomalies throughout history in a more, like... Because not every anomaly needs to be big monster or world-ending event, yeah? So it's kind of, like, a really nice change of pace that adds a lot more flavor to the world that the SCP takes place... That SCPs take place in. It's kind of neat. I like this so far.
Awesome.
Tan, I believe
That's exactly what I was going for.
Yes, it's me here. So, title St. Peter. Serial number SCP-4505-201. Artist unknown. Year 1518. Description. Animate bronze sculpture created under the patronage of Pope Leo X. That's right? X is 10? Okay.
Yeah.
The piece
Tan
was
doesn't know his Roman numerals. That's why he's asking.
I don't remember this in SCP lore. I'm pretty sure one of these Pope Leos was an actual lion. But I can't remember which one. The piece was originally envisioned as a living idealization of St. Peter that could interact with the public and educate them on matters of biblical history and Catholic ideology. Though the project was initially successful, the piece began to question its own existence and subsequently developed a sense of individual identity, eventually culminating in a public renunciation of Christian belief. The church quickly removed the statue from public display. Records indicate the piece was scheduled to be destroyed, but for unknown reasons was instead gagged and buried in an unmarked plot.
No!
And remains there until it was accidentally discovered by a construction company nearly 5 centuries later. The figure has since been taken into Foundation Care and given extensive counselling, though it still displays severe mental instability and social impediment as a consequence of its prolonged isolation. A psychiatric evaluation carried out in 1986 can be found in Chapter 6 of An Annotated History of Art-Based Life by Dr. Gertrude Blau. The figure can be violent, but poses negligible threat to viewers as it cannot leave its 0.7 metre by 0.7 metre base.
Bruh.
Why have they do Peter like that?
I believe you're up
Is it
next,
my turn?
Peppers? Yeah.
Okay. Title: The Mercy Stoop. Serial number -213. Artist: Agnolios Celloni. Description: A plain gold basin set into an ivory stand with various scenes from the crucifixion of Jesus carved along its circumference. Any liquid poured into the basin gradually transmute into blood over the course of 10 to 12 minutes. Originally created to hold holy water, the piece showed no anomalous properties until the artist's death in 1446. It was acquired from an unknown vendor in 1961 by the Horizon Initiative for its apparent Eucharistic property.
What's Eucharistic?
The group transubstantiation of wine into the blood of Christ.
Ah.
The group presented it as a gift to the Foundation in 1992 after a scientific examination revealed the transmuted blood to be from a male Lipizzanhorn.
I don't want this anymore.
Yeah, they thought it was the blood of Christ.
They're like, you can have this. That's cool. Yeah. They thought it was holy, but it wasn't like a divine miracle or anything. It was just the world breaking as it does in the Foundation universe sometimes.
Classy. Title: The Lamentation of St. Bartholomew. Serial number 254. Artist: Garcicotti. Year 1576. Sorry, I struggled with that name there for a second. Description.
It's okay. I made it up.
Okay. Description. An unfinished oil painting on wood depicting St. Bartholomew in the process of being flayed from the heels up. The piece emits constant vocalizations of pain, which intensify in response to physical or auditory stimuli. No other animate characteristics have been observed. A notable degree of attention has been paid to the details in Bartholomew's exposed musculature, possibly influenced by anatomical drawings created by Andreas Vesalius in the years prior. The figures carrying out Bartholomew's flaying are dark and indistinct. It is unknown if this was a creative decision or merely a consequence of the painting's incomplete state. The skin removed from Bartholomew's legs has been twined and knotted into a noose. The posing of the figures suggests that the noose is drawn closer to Bartholomew's head with every inch of skin peeled from his back.
Now, final one. Title: Trinity of the Red Court. Serial number: SCP-4505-265. Artist: Data Restricted. Year: 1586. Description: Oil on canvas. Christ is suspended in a dark void, hanging by the neck from a rope which extends out of frame. Those who view the painting for a prolonged period of time will gradually notice changes in its contents. The effect resets after the viewer has looked away for 10 or more seconds. Changes are consistent among different viewers and viewing sessions and occur in the same sequence. Lacerations appear across the deceased Christ's body. A jester is added to the lower left corner of the painting, pointing at the deceased Christ. Young children appear behind the jester in a long line that extends into the darkness. A hooded figure mounted on a horse is added to the bottom right corner of the painting. The heels on the rider's shoes end in blood-stained spikes. Numerous puncture wounds appear on the side of the horse's body. Heavy chains appear around the hooded figure, binding its arms to its torso. The deceased Christ raises his arms towards the jester and rider. See archetypes in Art Chapter 5, King, Clown and Consul. Christ's expression changes to a broad grin.
Ooh.
So I really like that ending. It's suddenly very ominous.
Well, that was a nice little prompt, or not prompt, sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? Romp through, more... I don't know if you call it lighthearted because some of the pieces were dark, but you know what I mean? Like, less world-ending or impending or, high stakes. I liked it. I'm going to give this one a solid 9 out of 10, maybe even a 10 out of 10. Gave it an upvote.
It feels like we're sort of like brushing against maybe something bigger, but we're getting, like, this third-hand storytelling, maybe.
Maybe. But I also, on one hand, I get what you're saying, and I like that direction too, but on the other hand, I kind of like the idea of this just for once being something that, like, isn't part of some evil plot. It's just, like, anomalous art.
Yeah, no, man, just been this, like, this is evidence of other stuff through the art.
Especially because, like, you know, art techniques have been developed and, like, created throughout history, so it's kind of like, this is early anomalous art, which maybe is why it's so non-threatening, because it's, like, simple.
But, yeah.
And, you know, art in general, like, echoes things happening in the world at the time, and so just as Lorenzo de Medici is a real person who anomalous art echoes, you see things happening in the anomalous world echoed in the Trinity of the Red Court. I don't know if you, Tan, have actually read 2732, but the jester in that artwork is meant to represent one of yours.
I did.
Which you can
I did. Yeah.
Guess who?
I did know.
What jester?
The jester. It's old Bobble the Clown.
Hong Kong?
Yeah, Hong Kong.
All right.
Is Bobble in 2732 as well? I didn't realise when I read that.
I believe that is the implication, yes. And I like the idea of him and 701 having some connection to the Scarlet King, and then forming, like, some kind of anti-Trinity. I don't know, it's... I don't have any actual headcanon for it. I just like the aesthetic of it.
Hey, fair enough.
So that's what I wanted to include here.
All right, so all we have left is the comment reading, yeah?
Yeah, so we're doing this very shortly after the recent episode came out. So this is probably a bit shorter than usual. So if your comments aren't in here, too bad, so slow. You should have read it in a more timely manner. This is a reward for your loyalty if you did.
To give you an idea, we usually record episodes on Wednesday and they go up on Saturday, fellow viewers, but our last episode, 64, went up on Saturday, but because of scheduling, we needed to record on Sunday with PeppersGhost, so this is only one day after, so if there's, like, a lot of comments that aren't in this, that's why. But that means you have more time to comment for the next episode, because we don't need to record one this Wednesday, it'll be the Wednesday after. So, yay. Alright, so first, from Small Micro Raptor, we have, I thought this one would be about gamers against weed.
This is an internet troll, so you don't have to pay attention to this.
Okay. Next, from Comedy Man Kelp, we have Hi Kelpony and Kelpnell. My theme recommendation for this week is Your Mom! You just owned.
Oh, I have, like, a couple of maternal SCPs we could have used.
There we go.
Damn it.
It's all good. He didn't deserve it after that comment. Tan let him know what was up.
Yeah, there's a comment saying it's over now.
It would have been kind of funny, though, if we were like, hey, that's an excellent suggestion. Your mom will be the theme. Goodness knows we have enough.
That's true.
There's enough to do with any sort of collection of words.
Lang Lim says, can't wait for Tanhony to say Spinespire wrote 5,000. Not gonna happen. I already know who wrote that one.
Who the fuck is Spinespire?
Tanhony likes to make up fake authors when he shows me one of his SCPs, hopes I don't check the history.
He doesn't check.
I don't think anybody's cool enough to have a name like Spinespire.
That's kind of a neat name. Boris WW says, still hoping you'll do a Spike Brennan episode one day, my favorite author. I still don't know who that is, but I know he's brought it up since, like, the single-digit or early double-digit episodes, and Tan was like, we'll get to it soon. We've never gotten to it.
We will get to it soon. We'll get to it.
I don't believe him.
Spike Brennan was one of those authors who, I hear it and I immediately go, oh, he's a great one. He's written a lot of great things. But if you, ask me to name, a particular SCP he's written, I just think of, a character, not an SCP.
Completely fair. I don't know anything about him, so I can't comment on that.
Sheldon Katz.
The bowler says, that bit in the description actually fooled me. Referring to Tan putting the fake name in there. It wasn't even the right one. You didn't say anomalous toast for the scarecrow. You said something weird.
I said hazardous toast.
But that was for the one before the scarecrow. For the scarecrow, you said something tower, and I immediately called you on it.
Tower. But that's because you already suspected. If I hadn't done it earlier in the episode, you would never have found out.
Yeah, okay. Brandon Hamilton says, hey everyone, it's me, DJ Cactus. Just wanted to congratulate you guys on this banger of an episode. Thanks, Cactus.
That is not DJ Cactus.
Could be. A bush from the island of Borneo.
Does he say banger?
What?
Does he say banger?
Yes.
I've never heard him say banger.
No, I don't know if he says banger.
My friend DJ
probably
would never say that.
Well, my friend DJ would. Comment below if you think DJ Cactus would say banger. A bush from the island of Borneo says, I eagerly await the episode when you read SCP-5000 and you finally begin reading the best series on the wiki.
I don't know what you're referring to here, because SCP-5000 is one article. So I don't know which series
I think he means the 5000 series of articles.
Right.
Have you not read any 5000?
I have.
We don't bump to the next level till we do the 1000 of that series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we started in Series 1, we go back in time like we did for some of you today, but we started in Series 1, after a while we went to Series 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and once we do 5000, we'll be on 6.
Okay, so you haven't even read my second highest rated thing.
Not yet. I really wanted to read it for this episode, but I had to stick to the K-fob.
Very fair, very fair.
On an unrelated note, Tanhony, your 001 proposal, Dead Men, is probably one of my favorite 001 proposals, and is my headcanon for the Ethics Committee. You did a great job writing it.
Thank you.
Good Day says, big terrifying world-ending monsters dying by incredibly mundane means will never not be funny to me. True.
Of course, that's in reference to the child hungers that we read last time.
Yeah. Insert clever name here says, it seems as if the internet trolls truly were internet trolling, unless Tanhony still has something up his sleeve.
I've always got something up my sleeve.
Alright, and I'm not reading this one because I told them if they do another week X of reading, I will not read that comment, so I'm going to skip over you this week, thoughts, experiments, and other stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, I had to bring down the hammer. And then I'll read your other one because you didn't mention it in the other one. You left 2 comments. And the other one, I accidentally hit the back button. Hang on. And the other one, he wrote, okay, depending on what way you read this comment will be here before my main one. And yes, I know I've double dipped in the sauce, but I poked into the Discord and comatose, sorry. Oh, well, welcome to the Discord, friendo.
I don't know what that means. I don't understand.
What?
What information is this comment conveying to me?
He said he's in the Discord.
And he's comatose?
I don't know the comatose sorry
Is
part.
he okay?
I don't know.
Has anyone ever really gone as far as to go to look more like...
Comatose sorry?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to start interrupting my comments with that.
And then lastly, an AnAnomalousWriter writes, Tanhony once again to see... Alright, I'm sick of this shit. Cocking my gun anomalous. I've had
you can't make fun of anomalous.
Thin ice here.
The episode doesn't get released about it. We can't act against
true,
him.
Especially because he has to mute so many of your audios this episode because you kept fumbling the ball. But yeah, alright anomalous, you get to live just this once, but you say that again to me, and there'll be issues. This actually was probably your one opportunity to fool me, Tan. Because I'm going to check all the histories now, but I assumed because it was a guest that it would be all there, so you could have slipped one in there. Could have plotted behind it.
Yeah, but PeppersGhost would have known that he didn't write it.
Yeah, you didn't plot with him behind my back, and that was where you failed.
I probably would have been way too slow on the uptake to play along.
Totally fair.
I don't remember writing this.
Alright. And that was all the comments.
I'd be like, hey guys, I didn't write that.
I would have liked you more for it. I would have respected you. Tired of this deception. But yeah.
Okay, hopefully this comes out all right. Have you guys ever just like had a guest totally fumble the recording aspect of it and just ended up with like a bunch of dead silence in your podcast?
Not in this podcast, but I have had a podcast. I ran a second podcast limited series for Yasumi Poon Poon. And several times one of my co-hosts would completely bungle the audio, and I had to spend like hours making it like, actually listenable to. And even then there would be issues, and it was frustrating. But I don't think we've had that yet with a guest. I think on our own parts, there have been 2 or 3 times back before we had Anomalous where Tan dropped the ball on editing. There was once in Creepypasta where you couldn't hear his mic at all, which was a super shame because that was one of our funnier episodes. And then there was another time that was my fault where something was weird with my mic and I sounded like I was down a well, and they made a gag out of it.
Well, fingers crossed it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, pretty much. Now that we have Anomalous, those issues rarely pop up. He's pretty on the ball. And he has a whole week to prepare this instead of a couple days. So I think it'll be alright.
I wasn't implying it was going to happen to him again. I was implying that I was the one who was going to be bungling the ball.
Oh, no. Yeah, but I mean, if the ball gets bungled, our editor Anomalous will fix it.
Audio surgery.
The main issue is...
Okay, well,
Yeah.
They better get ready, because I've got some pretty big bungled balls.
Uh-oh.
I...
Well, before we...
Good night.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say good night, everybody. I don't know where I was going with that.
Before you end off, is there anything you'd like to plug or tell us about Peppers?
Everybody needs to read 6,000 entries. It is really, really important.
And there you have it. And
vote, read, and don't get burnt out, because if you try to read for 4 hours every day, you'll get burnt out and then just not read the last 30 SCPs that are posted. I know this from experience. So just pace yourself.
I did realize that because it's based on voting, right? But even aside from voting for your favorite author, which I would give the community the benefit of the doubt and say they usually don't do that, I imagine with how many entries that most people don't read all of them. And which would probably be fairly reasonable, because from what I've noticed, people like to make their thousands entries really long.
Mm-hmm.
So I was imagining how that's done fairly, because I would assume people naturally gravitate to authors they recognize, read those, and vote based on those. But I don't know if there would be a perfect system for it, to be honest. It's probably as close as they'll get.
It does tend to favor the first one out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Shaggy's entry for 5,000 ended up picking some traction despite being posted on the last or second to last day. It ended up coming in second place, which is probably the most impressive comeback.
Oh, wow.
I posted 4,000 on the second day, I believe, of that contest.
Do you think that if the Shaggy fellow had posted his earlier, he would have beat 10? Because that would be very funny to me, and I would like that alternate reality.
I don't know if he would have beaten 10. Who can say, really? I do think that Shaggy is one of the Wiki's best authors, so he'll probably end up getting a K spot at some point or another. But I'm really happy with 5,000. It just has a good XK sort of spot vibe to it, you know?
Yeah, don't say too much about it, because I don't know
that je ne
anything
sais quoi
about it outside the most Vegas things. Because I have to react to it fresh. So don't give me too many details on it.
Oh, okay. I can't even talk about the pineapple?
No.
All right, fine. Whatever.
Sorry.
Especially not
But anyway,
the pineapple.
thank you so much for coming on. It was a lot of fun to have you, PeppersGhost. I would love to do stuff with you in the future. And if you want to pop into our Discord, we'd love to have you there, too.
Great, yeah, send me an invite. Thank you for having me, too. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
No
All right,
worries.
well, I guess we'll send it off. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.